request from my last on the water live stream to do another one. So today we're on Beaver Lake. A little bit tougher than the last lake I was on. The other lake was really small, just a few hundred acres. But today I wanted to challenge myself to come out here to big old beautiful Beaver Lake. Some people in my area call it the Dead Sea. Hopefully it's not the case today. I was actually out here a couple weeks ago and found some suspended fish offshore in this area of the lake. I haven't been back since, and I only graphed around for like a couple minutes before the stream, and I saw a couple fish, but I'm not sure if they're still there. Hopefully though, that's a good thing because I want to show you the whole process of how I actually go about finding these offshore fish and how I actually catch these suspended fish. We have perfect conditions today. It's bluebird skies, no wind, the kind of perfect post-front day for these suspended bass. Couldn't have worked out any better, honestly. So hopefully we're going to be able to find some really good offshore fish. Before we get into that though, got to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of the Fish Moment live stream and the podcast. First up, we got Bridgeford. A huge shout out to Bridgeford for providing us with a lot of good beef jerky for our fishing trips and also for sponsoring the podcast. Every week we do a giveaway for a free case of 12 packs of Bridgeford beef jerky. And last week we asked everyone what their favorite jig was on the Fish Moment live stream. And the comment that I chose to be the winner this week is Travis Sieber. S-I-E-B-E-R. Travis, if you are watching, just send us an email over info@fishmoment.com and we'll send you a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky. He said his favorite jig was a Strike King Bitsy Bug jig, and that's an absolutely great bait. I used to throw it all the time. Actually won my first junior state championship in Wisconsin when I was 11 years old on the Strike King Bitsy Bug jig. Great little bait and one that I have fond memories of. So congratulations to Travis Sieber for winning a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky. The other sponsor for the stream is the Bass Tank. You can see I'm wearing their shirt right here, and I'll get into more about the Bass Tank because we're going to be using electronics a lot today, and I'll talk about kind of some of the new setups I got installed by the Bass Tank and why they're the best electronics installation company in the business. But enough of that, let's just jump straight into it, guys, and I'm going to be looking at the stream here too on this phone over here just to make sure I'm checking the live chat. I also have my wife behind the camera here, and she's going to also be reading off some comments here a little bit later after we start fishing. But for now, let's see if we can find some fish. I've been out here for like 20 minutes, like kind of antsy. I want to go graph something, fish something, so let's just get after it. And I'm not going to do any running just for cell signal purposes, so honestly I'm just going to be driving the boat and idling. But what I want to be able to do is show you a little bit of what I'm looking at here on the screen and what I'm actually trying to do when I'm graphing out here. So if you actually come up here, and I'll show you what I got going on here on my chart. So if you take a look, and let me know if you can see that screen okay. Okay, so if we just zoom out here on, this is the new Lowrance Elite FS unit the Bass Tank installed for me. So running the new unit today, so we'll see how this goes. But I'm basically here in the midsection of Beaver Lake, and there's several creeks in this area of the lake that are close to a main river channel. There's a really clear channel you can see right here and right here. And I found several fish and just several interesting places down this main lake section of the lake in front of this main creek. So we have a main creek arm here, and on the first third of the creek and on the main lake, there were a lot of fish positioned offshore. So what I'm basically going to do is just kind of graph some of my waypoints that I made from the other day, graph some areas I have some history on. Again, I made these waypoints 2 weeks ago, so there may be nothing there. They may have moved or disappeared. I may have to go further back in the creeks. I have no idea where the fish are. So we're just going to figure it out live. Hopefully we find something in this hour and a half we're going to be doing this. But basically what I'm going to do is first pull up my regular view that I use. Let me get this out of here whenever I'm graphing, and that's going to be my mapping, side imaging, down imaging. I have my down imaging set to about 40 feet on the range, and I have my side imaging at 100 feet. 100 feet just allows me to see left and right, a good distance to scan for any cover, things that might be out there, and then my down imaging will allow me to really dial in any fish that are in the area. So let's just kind of zoom in my map here, and we're just going to start graphing in this 30 to 40 foot range down the bank. Nothing really that fancy. A lot of guys are always asking me what I'm doing when I'm graphing, and really all I'm doing, guys, is I'm just trying to find interesting pieces of cover, bait fish, and fish. So right here you can see we have an interesting little brush pile. If I pull up side scan, you can actually see several pieces of brush. If I move this out of the way, right here, and you can actually zoom that in, that is some brush right there, some brush piles. And in that brush. I'm not seeing any bait fish out to the side here. I'm not seeing any bait fish around it. So I'm actually not going to even bother fishing that spot. If there was bait fish around it, if I saw some bait fish here in the water column, I might check out those brush piles. But because there's literally nothing on the screen here, no bait fish, no fish, I'm not gonna bother messing with it. There may be a couple fish down there, but I'm not really gonna worry about that too much. Got another brush pile actually right here. And a lot of guys will see this stuff and they'll be like, oh, brush pile, I gotta fish that. Well, if there's no bait or anything on the screen, you're not gonna see much of anything. Now, one thing I did do, guys, is I did change my color palette over here because I normally run this actually on like number 6, but it's very hard to see here on the live stream. So I set it to palette 4, so it really pops if we do see anything, but this is not my normal palette. And yeah, basically I'm just gonna be graphing. I saw a question here of why I set the range to 100 feet. If I'm looking for fish, guys, I'll set the range on my side imaging to normally be somewhere around, let's say, I don't know, 50 to 60 feet if I'm really looking for fish. But whenever I'm looking for cover, I really want a wide range because it allows me to see what's down there on the bottom. Then I can kind of regraph it later by moving in my range or by looking at my screen on down imaging to see if there's fish down there. Now right there, we saw our first couple fish. There's some fish right there on the screen on my down imaging or down scan. 1, 2, 3 fish. Not enough fish to get me really excited about starting to fish here, but at least I'm seeing up here in about 20 foot of water, 25 foot of water, we're starting to see some fish. And that was actually the range they were in last week, so that is a good sign. Now I'm coming up to a rock pile that was loaded last week, so we'll see if they're on that thing today. And basically, it's the end of a, you can actually see there's an actual road right here. There's a boat ramp. There's no boat ramp right here. And there was a big rock right there. They were all over last week. I don't know if they're gonna be on it today. We're about to find out. Okay, so we got that rock's coming up, and then we can see there are a couple of fish up there on top of that rock. Actually, there's several fish. If we take a look at that, that's actually pretty cool. Down scan here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots. If we go over to 2D sonar, you can see 1, 2, 3 arches, 1, 2, 3, right on that giant boulder right there. So that is a great sign. I'm not gonna stop graphing and start fishing that right away though, guys. That's one common mistake I see a lot of anglers make. Whenever they first see a spot that has fish, they'll immediately just get off the big engine and start fishing that spot. But from my experience, I know that if there's fish on that rock pile right there, there's a really good chance there might be some fish further out or on another piece of structure pretty close by. And I don't want to set my boat on top of another productive area if those fish are not only on that brush pile, but they're somewhere else. And here we have a tree that I graphed. I guess it's a tree. I'm seeing a couple of, that looks like it might be crappie. Yeah, a couple of dots on the top of that tree, but you see how high those things are stacked? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots tall. That is most likely crappie, and you can't even see them on my 2D sonar because I set my settings in a way where I basically won't see really tiny fish on there. Normally on my down scan, you won't even see those dots because I'll use a different color palette. Sorry, I'm all over the place, but normally I won't even see those dots because I'll set my color palette to 6 and they'll disappear. The reason you're seeing them right now is because I have this color palette set to 4, and that is basically just again to make it easier for you guys to see. But with that color palette 4, it makes all of the dots on the screen pop really bright, even if they're tiny fish. And so I'm not really that bothered by fishing for, you know, any dot I see. I want them to be better than average fish. And the key thing to look for is if they're not showing up on 2D sonar especially, they're really small. If we go back to this boulder over here, you can see that those dots were showing up as arches, so we should be good to go on those. Those should be bass. So hopefully this is all making sense. I know I'm kind of going fast here, but I got to give you the play-by-play as we go through because we only have so much time before I graph over all this stuff, so I have to do it fast. Okay, here we go. So we got in our tree. Holy cow, what is that? Wow, look at that. Okay, I got a better angle on that tree. That looks a little bit different right there. Holy crap. Look at that tree. It is absolutely loaded. Loaded. I need to make a new waypoint on that. Make it with a, make it with a tree, save that, and then let's take a look at 2D sonar. Oh my gosh, they are just arched up all over that. Those have to be some bass. I'm not 100% sure, those still could be crappie, but they're only stacked 2 to 3 dots tall on top of that thing. They're suspended up in 15 foot of water. Those are bass. We are about to freaking hammer them. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, they're still here, guys. That is a good thing. I was very worried that we're gonna get out here and I was gonna be like, oh, I know these fish are here, we're gonna go catch a bunch of fish, and then they were gonna be gone. I still might not catch anything, but at least I can see that there's something down there. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to get away from this area. I don't wanna stop my boat right where those fish were. I'm actually going to move away from them and then make my way up to them a little bit slower. That way I'm not basically messing up the spots. So I'm gonna stop the boat here a good, I would say 100 yards away from those fish to see what's going on. Now, we have to do a little camera magic here, so I'm gonna take the camera from you guys and just give us a second here. This is a little bit clumsy. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna be throwing while my wife gets the tripod set up in the back while we're fishing. We're gonna do a couple of these weird changes. But first thing got going on here, guys, are my baits for the day. I have a bunch of baits over here that are basically like in case of emergency, like football jigs and stuff. But hopefully the goal is that we're gonna be able to catch some fish on these suspended baits. So my key suspended baits I have going on here, number one always, if they're in the range, is a deep diving jerk bait. Megabass Vision 110 +2. This bait gets down to like 15 foot, perfect for those brush pile fish I just saw. I have a little Neko rig here, basically a Yamamoto straight tail worm with a 3 32nd ounce nail weight in there. Got a little swim bait, 1/4 ounce jig head, Megabass Spark Shad 4-inch swim bait on a little spinning rod, and I also have a little drop shot with a robo worm right there that we're going to be using as well. So got a bunch of stuff. Also got new Lowrance active target going on right now on the boat, so we're gonna see how that works. Haven't really messed around with it too much, but just took the live scope off the boat. I think we should be good here to get this on. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think we should be good. Let me get this going because I want to cast on those fish. Okay, so saw those fish. They're positioned up in the water column, kind of in that. Do we look good on the back camera? Okay, cool. They were positioned pretty high in the water column, so I'm going to start with a jerk bait. We have really bright skies, wind. Whenever you have these conditions where it's real sunny and we're in clear water, the water visibility here is like 5 to 6 foot of visibility. I always like to start with a deep diving jerk bait first, just because it has those treble hooks, and those treble hooks will catch any fish that kind of just swat at the bait. But if that doesn't work, then I'll pick up usually a little swim bait, and then I'll pick up a drop shot. That's kind of my rotation. I might pick up the Neko rig too, just kind of give them something to think about. And all I'm doing right now, guys, is I have my map up here, and I'm just navigating to those waypoints that I made earlier. So I pulled a little bit too far away because the wind blew us, but let me get us up there. Oh, why did I change your lines? Just because I wanted to do some, actually I didn't change necessarily. I actually have a Humminbird unit up here that still has Mega 360. I also can put a Humminbird unit back here. The Bass Tank over in Tulsa, they did an awesome job switching up all of my units in a way that I can actually change out all of the different units all across the boat. So I can run a Humminbird Helix up here or a Lowrance. I can run Helix in the back or a Lowrance. And so I can basically do some comparison videos for you guys of what's the difference between a $1,000 Humminbird versus a $1,000 Lowrance? What's the difference between a $500 Lowrance unit versus a $3,000 Lowrance unit? So we kind of just are gonna be showing you some of these comparisons. And I just kind of put the Lowrance active target on because I wanted to try it out over the live scope. I heard kind of different things about it, and I wanted to test it out myself to see how it works, and hopefully it'll work out today. I did a little bit of experimenting a couple of weeks ago with it, and it worked okay, so we'll keep testing. I'm not going to have any strong opinions until I'm 100% comfortable with it and I know what it can do. But Okay, so we got active target pulled up here. Okay, we got this tree right in front of us. Oh my goodness, they are all over that thing. Okay, I'll show you guys this tree here in a second. But you saw it on the, okay, let's get that cast out there. You guys saw it on 2D and down imaging, so, whew. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a fish. That was easy. I didn't even reel the bait down to depth. Stay on there, fish. He barely got it. Oh crap. This is a little spotted bass. Get back out there. I literally was messing with my trolling motor and that fish grabbed it. They are all over that thing. Holy cow. Oh, they're all under the boat now. They followed it back. Crap. Oh no. I caught that one fish and he pulled the entire school with him. That happens so much with these suspended bass. The whole school followed him. Oh man. That was just a little guy, but there was so many of them behind him. I need to pick up a drop shot. Sorry, I'm like all freaked out right now because I was not expecting to get bit on my first cast of the day. That was not a big spot bass. That was just like a little 12-incher, nothing crazy. But let me see if I can get a little bit more composed here. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit all over the place right now. That was cool. Okay, so one thing I normally have going, guys, is if that happens or those fish are following my bait, I'll normally have some sort of drop shot or something tied on so that when they all follow it back to the boat, I can drop that bait straight down to them, that drop shot, and basically sometimes they'll just pick that bait up as it's falling down there. So I dropped a drop shot down to those fish, see if they'll bite it. But man, I wish I could have shown you that in the active target. That was so cool. We need to find a way to live stream the active target. There's still fish down there, but all those fish followed me back after that one bit it. Not a big one. Okay, let me get that jerkbait back down there and see if I can get another bite. I'm just gonna set these rods down like this, because normally when I lose a fish like that, I would probably like to have the drop shot ready. I was not prepared, but I would have the drop shot ready to go so that if a fish came off or if I caught a fish, I would drop it right down, because all those fish that were on that tree, that brush pile, followed that fish back that bit my jerk bait. But they were set up perfectly. They were all sitting up on the top of the brush. I probably should show, if I get another spot that looks that good, I'll show you guys on the active target before I make a cast, because they were set up so perfect right there. Let me move up here. Got any questions for me? Wait for that. I'm gonna throw the swim bait down there, because there's fish that are kind of sitting really tight to that tree. Those fish that when you saw them on the downs imaging, guys, there were a bunch of fish that were suspended over that tree in like 15 feet of water. Now on the active target, a lot of those fish are positioned a lot higher, or a lot lower, sorry. They're right up against the tree. They're not suspended above it. I'm actually bouncing that tree right now. There he is. Oh no, that's just the tree. He bit it, and then I set into the tree. That's classic right there. Let me break this off. Dang it, he bit it, and then he just swiped at it. A lot of times with these spotted bass, they won't get the bait super well. Let me get another thing. I am so flustered right now, guys. I did not expect to be catching them this quickly. I thought we were gonna have a nice chill stream, kind of give me a couple of minutes to get into it, and it's just fast and furious. Let me get another jig head tied on here. But yeah, shoot me some questions so I can.
On Dardanelle at the moment.
Lake Dardanelle, okay. The way I fish on Dardanelle right now is to lock down to the pool below Dardanelle or above Dardanelle. Lake Dardanelle in September and October is terrible. I would just lock tournament day, go down one pool below the Toad Suck pool, and just go fish jetties. That's what I would do. Come on now.
Do you ever
I do. Actually, I probably could have caught a fish, those same fish I just hooked on the jerk bait. I probably could have caught those same exact fish on a wake bait over the top of that tree. They were positioned only like 10 foot down, so I'm pretty sure I could have caught those fish on a spook or a wake bait over the top, especially in this clear water and bright and sunny as it is today. Definitely. Keep firing those questions away, guys, because
Any weedless 1/4 jig heads available when fishing around trees and brush?
yes, there are. So there's one really good one. Let me pull it out here. It's the Jewel Gem Shad Head. Normally I throw it, but I wanted a really small swim bait. This spot lock. Oh, that's why. My handle's in the way. Oh, sorry guys, we got some Beaver Lake boat traffic. That's very classic. Here's a 1/4 ounce head for you guys. I know you guys are probably like, get back to fishing. I know I gotta get this, I wanna get that swim bait back tied on because that's a really good bait and I don't wanna be in a position where I'm on him and I won't need that swim bait. But here's the Jewel Bait Gem Shad Head. It's a weedless 1/4 ounce jig head, but it has a pretty big hook in it. I actually am working on Jewel to make this 5/16 ounce little weedless one that's poured from all lead. That's a nice little jig head too. I probably should be throwing that right now, but I decided to go with this regular ball head, just 1/4 ounce. So that is just what I'm throwing right now, but that's a nice little head design as well. The big thing is regardless whether I had a weedless jig head or not, I was going to hang that brush because I set the hook on it, because that fish was messing with me. Okay, let's see if those fish are reset up on top of that thing. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we are just having all kinds of fun right now. Losing fish, breaking off, and now we have a giant braid bird's nest. You guys have this ever happen to you? I never have this happen to me, but except for when we're on live streams. Of course, that's how that goes. Yeah, this is the way it goes, guys. You don't think I have stuff happen? This stuff happens to me all the time. Just, it happens a lot more when I'm live in front of hundreds of people usually. Okay. Okay, they're up there still. And basically what I'm doing with the swim bait, guys, is I'm just trying to throw that thing out there. You could watch it down on the active target, I guess. I haven't found the need to do that necessarily. I basically just kind of use the active target to let me know the general direction of the brush and stuff I'm trying to fish. And then what I do is fire that thing out there and I just counted it down to 15 count. Just kind of keep it right above the top of that brush. And I'm just trying to bring that as close to that brush as I can without hitting it and snagging with my open hook. And I'm just slowly winding that swim bait in. Nothing crazy, just slow wind. And we'll see if one grabs it. And actually, if you want to, those fish have kind of repositioned up on top of that thing. If you want to bring that camera up here just for a second and we'll bring it back down, you can just unclip it and bring it back. I'll show you guys what these fish look like on the active target because they're set up again. I'll catch another one. All of those fish swam away from the tree and then they repositioned, which is good. But let me grab this from you real quick. So here is the active target, and there is that brush pile. Whoops. Okay, let me find that. There we go. So you can see on the active target, there's a bunch of fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're really high in the water column. This is actually the perfect time to throw. I'm going to pass this back over. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna throw up there. Actually, I'll give you a second to get the tripod back going. Man, they're positioned perfectly up on top of the thing. They're like within 10 feet of the surface right now, and that's the key. Whenever you're finding these fish on live scope and they're suspended, you'll find that they bite so much better when they're suspended higher up in the water column and they're grouped tight together on the screen. If you only see one fish, for example, positioned on top of that tree or whatever you're looking at, and there's one fish, not normally going to be that easy to get those fish to bite. But if there's several of them, let's say 5 or 6 fish, and they're sitting high up in the water column, they're much easier to get to bite. So let's see if I can get one to bite this jerkbait. Oh man, they're all over it. Eat it. Oh my goodness, they are all over this thing. Eat it, fish. Come on now. I actually have this thing sinking, so it sinks right through them. And I'm just letting that thing suspend and sink. Oh man, they were all over it. They didn't get it. A lot of times when you get that first fish to bite and then you miss them, they'll kind of get spooky. But maybe if I drop a drop shot down in there, that might get one, trick one into biting. Okay, I'm bringing that drop shot right by him real quick. I don't think these are necessarily big fish, so I'm not expecting to catch like a 5 or 6 pounder doing this today, guys. This is more of a showcase of how to catch suspended fish. There's not a ton of big spot bass out here. We might be able to pick up a 2.5 pound smallmouth if we're lucky. But usually this is not like the big fish pattern that you would want to like fish in a tournament, for example. For sure. So like right now, guys, this school of fish is right in front of me. As you can see, I've positioned my boat so that the nose of my boat is into the wind. So my nose of the boat is pointed straight into the wind, and these fish are, man, they're down there. A lot of times right now, it just seems like they're kind of just, I don't know, they're not super, oh, they might get right here. They're all looking at it. Come on, come on. Oh, crap. There they were all over it. Oh, come on, eat it. Sorry guys, there are like 30 fish right on my bait. They're not wanting to cooperate. Sometimes when they're all sitting there looking at it, you can raise it up really fast, then drop it, and then just shake it. Sometimes I'll get them. Man, they're all over that thing. How? That was crazy. I'm gonna move on from this spot here, guys. One of the most common mistakes I see with guys on these suspended fish is they sit on them for too long. If you're not getting bit and they're kind of just like looking at your bait and not really eating it, you gotta move on, because usually those fish will bite first cast on that spot, and then they'll kind of get sketchy and they won't bite, and you need to leave. Because right now, I'm looking at them on the active target. They're all over my bait. I'm gonna move over to this other little rock pile I saw earlier, and then we're just gonna keep looking, because you can see on that first cast I caught that fish. I lost him. And a lot of times when you lose a fish on a school, especially offshore, they'll just completely stop biting. Or they'll be down there. It's not like they're not there, but they just get a little bit finicky and they won't commit to your bait. So I find that if I ever lose a fish like that, honestly, the best thing to do is just leave. I did get one bite on the drop shot, got one bite on the swim bait, but they didn't really commit to, as you can see. They kind of were just nipping it. So right now I need to just, I know they are. Okay, so there's another, ooh, my goodness, okay. Okay, first cast, are we gonna call it right here? This is that same rock pile there, all over the top of it. That one I showed you earlier. Oh, they're following it. Get it, fish. Oh my gosh, he's right on it. Come and eat it. Oh my goodness. Come look at the screen here real quick. Just bring it up here. I just gotta show this. This is absolutely wild. Holy cow. Okay, so those fish were basically, they followed my jerkbait off this rock pile. The rock pile's right there. You can see them. Let me see right here. They're all swimming back to that rock pile. They followed my bait all the way up to the rock pile, all the way out here. Now they're all swimming back to that rock pile right there. And you can see them all over the screen right here and right here. That's that rock pile I graphed earlier. They just, for whatever reason, there was like 15 fish following my jerkbait. But right now we have no wind, we have no clouds. So without the wind or the clouds, those fish are not going to react to that jerkbait. Even that last fish that I had barely nipped the back end. So normally the swim bait is another way to get those fish to bite. You can just slow roll a swim bait past them, and we'll see if that works. And then another way to get them to bite is obviously to really slow down and go to like a drop shot or a Ned rig or something over the top of their, or just on the bottom. But a lot of these fish are suspended up, so I don't know how effective that would be. But they're down there. And a lot of times, guys, like I'll pull up on a spot like this, and if I see them all chasing and it's looking crazy, and I can't get one to bite, I'm not going to waste a ton of time trying to force feed them. Just going to make a couple casts and move on, because I need to find a group of fish where I can have them eat it first cast or within the first couple casts. I want them to really be committed. I don't want to have a bunch of followers. There's fish following my swim bait right now. I'm watching them on the active target. Yeah, they're just not. They're following me back. I'm just gonna make one more cast and we're gonna roll, because I don't like the way these fish right here are reacting. Just in the fact that they're down there and they're not biting. You can see them all over the screen. That's a huge, huge problem I see with so many guys when they get the live scope or they get active target and stuff like that, is that they see fish all over the graph and they're like, oh, I got a fish for them. Well, if those fish, oh, there he is. If they don't bite within the first 3 casts, normally they're not gonna bite. And you can see there, got that one finally on the swim bait. That's a decent one. No, he's not. He's not that big. He's just a little guy. Better than the last one, at least. Okay, there we go. So, got that little fish. You saw him all over that rock pile. This is the first spot I graphed. And I had to throw this jerkbait down there. Made a couple casts with the swim bait. Finally got that fish in. Just a little one. Nothing crazy. But that's the whole process I do, guys. Is I'm finding them first with the down imaging. And side imaging. Once I see them, I'm going to position on them, and then like right now I'm using the active target. I don't need the active target to catch these fish by any means. I can basically just line up on these fish, no problem, with traditional, just the waypoint method, where I basically just set up a waypoint on my front fish finder and then just cast at that waypoint. I wasn't following those fish with the active target or anything with the live scope. It was nice to see them down there, but I knew they were down there with the down imaging. So it's cool to show you guys the fish on the active target, but by no means was it necessary to catch these fish. It helps line it up, but I mean, if I had that tree marked, I barely saw that tree, the first fish I lost, and I just cast over and at the waypoint back practically. I barely had the active target going. Actually, I hadn't even booted up yet, and I got that fish. And then here, I could easily catch these fish without it. And I'll do a video showing that to you guys in the future. I just think it's fun to show you guys the active target, just because it's cool. It looks nice. It looks neat. But practically, like, in practical means, especially when these fish are related specifically to an object like a rock like this, you don't need it. Now, if those fish were suspended out here in the middle of nowhere and they were chasing bait fish, that's when I would need the active target. Right now, I'm literally just casting at a rock. So as long as I could triangulate the rock with a waypoint or with some other method, you could even do it with a marker buoy, you could cast over this rock and just count that swim bait down to 15 seconds and start reeling it slow. I mean, that's literally all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything fancy. I've been doing this for 10 years now. This is not new, a new style of fishing. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, graphing stuff, marking it, throwing a swim bait over the top of it. I'll do other videos, guys, where I'm using the live scope and it's really necessary, but this is definitely not one of those times where it's like super necessary. It's just fun to look at. This is the big thing for me right now. It's nice to see the rock and see that fish follow the bait. You might be able to use it to kind of speed up your bait or slow it down, but I found out over the last year or so that really the best way to get these fish to bite these swim baits is just to keep that steady retrieve going, especially on these lighter swim baits. On the bigger swim baits, you can kind of burn them and stop them, but by the way, it paid off to retie that swim bait. You see? Didn't want to just have the jerk bait, needed to have both. Okay, caught some fish here. Not really liking the size of these fish, and they don't seem that aggressive. I just threw bait down there again, and all those fish have scattered. If you look at the active target now, the fish are just like all over the place. They're not stacked up on that rock. When I caught that fish, again, I caught the fish, and then all the fish swam away from the rock pile, and now they're all like sitting underneath the boat. So I basically would need to, if I want to catch more fish here, I need to wait for those fish to regroup up on that rock pile where they're all tightly schooled together. Especially on these bright bluebird sky days, no wind, you need to have those fish on the screen grouped tight together. You can either see that on the active target, or again, you can see it on the down imaging or down scan on your fish finder. I'll graph another spot. Hopefully there was another rock pile over here that had fish on it, so hopefully that has fish on it. I'll show you again what I'm talking about of having those fish grouped up. But yeah, I want to make it clear that you don't need the live scope to do what I'm doing right now. It's just nice to have sometimes, just for fun. Okay. Let's keep rolling. We're gonna keep graphing, and I'll just keep the process going. Maybe if we can get a few questions, because I do need to kind of get across this cove. One thing I will do, let me actually show you this real quick. I'm gonna regraph this rock pile that I just fished, and I'm gonna show you on down scan what I'm talking about with these fish. Where you can see how they're scattered out. So if I just go up, this is exactly what I was fishing earlier. There's that rock pile right there. You can see it on the side scan. You can see that on the down imaging. And if you look, when I first graphed, it froze up on us. Someone called me, a spam call, and that was great. So anyways, now it's working. The spam callers are out to get me. Maybe Randy's trying to stop me from catching fish on live scope, so he called me back, or he's calling me to interrupt the stream so I can't show people live scope stuff. Anyways, let me pull this back up. Randy sabotaged my last live stream when I tried to fish up shallow, so we can see how that's going. I'm just messing with you guys, by the way. That is 100% a joke, but let's pull this back up. Actually, I'll just do this here. So as I was saying, I'll graph over this rock pile again. Basically, when I graphed over this rock pile, you saw that the fish were really scattered out over the top of the rock as opposed to being grouped right up on top of it. And whenever you're trying to find fish offshore, guys, you need to find those fish grouped up tight together, 7 or 8 or 9 dots tight, especially on these really bright sunny days. Yeah, and Tom says, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. Yeah, that's exactly what it probably was. And it's like, oh, fake call. Anyways, so let's graph over top of this. So I want to show you guys, I'm just going to pull up down scan. So that big rock I was just fishing, basically, you can see on the down scan here, that the fish are pretty scattered across this rock. So there's a fish here, there's a fish here, but they're way off the rock. There's actually a couple fish. Even after I just left for a second, you can actually see more fish are coming back to the top of the rock, but they were all scattered across when I graphed over even like 2 minutes ago. But they're now kind of regrouping. So basically they spread out, now they're regrouping, and at some point all those dots are gonna be positioned up here on top of that rock. So if we gave this like 15 or 20 minutes, all those fish would reposition back up on top of the rock. Then I could go and throw a jerkbait or a swim bait again and probably catch another fish, which we may do in here in a second if I can't find another spot. But let's try to find another spot, because I always think it's boring just fishing the same like 2 spots over and over and over again. So we're just gonna go this way. And while we're doing that, actually, this is a great time for a quick little ad break. Just wanted to, first up, can you see okay? It's really bright. Apologize, guys. We have the sun. We can't control that. We're on the lake, so we can't control that. But first up, I want to give a shout out to our one of our main podcast sponsors, Bridgeford Foods. They make the best beef jerky, the softest beef jerky, and it's a great snack to take out on the lake. This week, we gave a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky away from a comment from last week's live stream from Travis Sieber, S-I-E-B-E-R. So Travis, if you're watching, send us an email over at info@fishingmoment.com. We'll send you a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky. And if you guys want to be entered in to win your own case of beef jerky, all you need to do is leave a comment on this video letting me know what type of fishing you want me to do in my next On the Water live stream. I'm hoping to do these every couple of weeks, and I'd love to hear from you guys on the techniques you want me to show off, the styles of fishing you want me to try, all those different things, and hopefully we're gonna be able to catch some fish again in all these live streams. I've already caught one today. I feel so much better. Lost a fish, caught one. Not big fish, but hey, we're live. I can't guarantee I'm gonna catch a bunch of big fish. I can guarantee I can probably catch some fish, hopefully. Maybe I can't even guarantee that, but hopefully we're gonna catch fish. Maybe we'll go to some lakes that are loaded. This is Beaver Lake. Beaver Lake is known as the Dead Sea around here, so I'm happy just to catch fish out here, to be honest. And there's a bunch of fish out here. It's a really tough day again. Bright bluebird skies, no wind, so just happy to be getting some bites. Another shout out is to our other main sponsor, the Bass Tank. Thanks to Bass Tank for sponsoring Fish Moment live stream. They hooked me up with an amazing electronics setup here, guys. Basically, right now I have this Lowrance Elite FS that I'm using today, but they've made it so that I can actually, if you look, I have like 1 million power cables hanging here for all these different fish finders. I have 3 transducers off the back deck of my boat. My boat looks like freaking Inspector Gadget over here. I have like 75 things strapped to the back of my boat, but I can run now a Lowrance HDS unit, this Elite FS, Elite TI2s, and the Lowrance hook unit here. Plus I can still run my Humminbird Helix unit. We're gonna hopefully maybe try to put up a Humminbird Solix unit here at some point too, to just kind of keep the love going, put as many units on this boat as we can. I don't know if there's that much more space in this little 18-footer to put too much more in, but we're gonna keep switching out these graphs, guys. And huge shout out to Lowrance and Humminbird for hooking me up with some of these graphs, just to kind of help me absorb some of the cost. Don't have to worry about that. It's a small business, and not being paid by them to say anything about any of the graphs, but they do send the products to test and things like that. So I'll be doing a bunch of comparisons back and forth between, you know, active target, live scope, Mega 360 or a Mega Live imaging. That'll be coming soon. I'll also be doing price point comparisons across all these different lines of units. So like $500 Humminbird versus a $3,000 Humminbird unit, or a $500 Lowrance unit versus a $3,000 Lowrance unit. Today we're rocking the Elite FS, which is just like a $1,200 unit, nothing crazy. And then up there up front we have a HDS 9, so about a $2,800 unit for the active target up there. So if you guys want to get some graphs installed in your boat and you want to be able to make sure they all run properly, if the Bass Tank can install like 12 different power sources into my boat and get all these graphs working in an 18-footer, they're definitely going to hook up your boat the right way. So definitely check them out over at thebasstank.com and give them a call. They're out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, enough of all the sponsor talk. I'm coming up on another rock pile that was loaded the other day, so we'll see if they're still here. Don't know if they are, so fingers crossed on this one. Just graphing, guys, these areas. I found these rock piles before, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit just because I already know the fish are kind of going to be here. Oh my, whew! Okay, come look at this. This is so good. This is perfect. Okay, So just graphed over this. There's that rock pile on side scan. There's the rock pile on down scan. And look, those fish are positioned high up in the water column. That is jerkbait central right there. See how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots all stacked up on top of that rock pile. Got the sonar. Boom, there's your 2D sonar, all those arches. There's some good size to those arches. So those are probably 1.5 to 2 pound spotted bass. So they're all sitting up on top of that rock. Let's pull up and cast on those, because I mean that's what I'm talking about, guys. They're on top of the cover, they're suspended, but they're on top of that rock or that boulder, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is catchable fish. If there's like one fish that's over here and then one fish that's over here and they're kind of spread around it, it's a lot tougher to get those fish to bite. But when they're really stacked up like that, that gets me really excited. Sorry, like whooped in joy over here. You don't see me like this, guys, when I'm in my videos. I try to be calm and cool and collected to match all my editing and stuff, but then when I'm not here live, I'm just like a spaz trying to catch these fish. It's just too fun. It's hard for me to even like wait for the live stream to start, because I was like, man, can I just go fish a little bit? And I know I can't, because I'm gonna waste these fish, so I'm trying to, I don't know how many fish I can catch today. We don't have that much time, so I want to at least try to get like 2 or 3 fish in the boat for you guys. I got 1 so far, so even if I can catch 1 more off this rock pile, which it should happen, then we should be good. But again, all I'm doing, guys, lining up on this waypoint. Actually, bring that camera, actually leave it there, because I'm going to catch a fish. Basically, I want to show you guys, there is no active target going right now, and I just want to show you that there's no active target happening on my screen. It's just lining up with my mapping, and I'm just going to line up with my mapping, guys, and not use the active target, just to show you that it's 100% possible, because I think a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, I need this active target, or I need live scope to catch fish. As long as you have mapping up here and you have your waypoints transfer from your back unit when you mark it up to your front unit, you can line up on these spots just basically by putting a heading. I have a whole video. You can just check out Fish the Moment, how to hit offshore structure spots first cast every time. I explain how to use the waypoint method to hit these offshore structure spots. And basically you just line up on them like this and get them within your range rings. Again, you can watch that video to see it. And let's see if I can get one of these fish to bite. No active target, just old school. Oh gosh, they're all, I'm seeing the bait jump all over up here. Get it, fish. Man, the bait are all up on top of this thing. Probably, if I turn active target on, they're all probably following my jerkbait like crazy right now. One more cast with the jerkbait. We'll throw the swim bait down there, catch one. Shocked at not getting bit. Oh my gosh, the shad are kicking. You guys can't see it, but the shad are going crazy up there. I'm really hitting that jerkbait hard to try to get a bite. With the lack of wind and clouds and stuff, the jerkbait probably isn't the best option, but I like to start with it just because it's, if they're really aggressive, you're usually going to get a good one with that jerkbait. But they're all over that thing. I'm shocked, honestly, with all that bait that was up there, that I didn't get bit on that jerkbait. Making a big I'm getting overconfident here, making this big fuss so I can catch him without the active target, and then I'm not catching anything. Looking like a rookie. Oh, there's one. Oh, eat it, fish. He's bumping it. Get it. Come on. Hit it like 3 times. They are not, oh, golly, I watched him. He swam away. I watched him swim. He literally followed it all the way up to the boat and then took off at the last second. These conditions are terrible, guys. I'm telling you, like, these are not good conditions. So if they're not biting a little 3-inch swim bait and they're just bumping it, that just means those fish are not in a aggressive mood. But let's just see. Man, I can't believe that. At least I'm hitting the rock pile. I wanted to catch one just to show you guys. You don't need the active target. And I don't want to turn it on now because I'm being stubborn. Because I want to show you guys you don't need it. That should have been a fish catch. That fish wasn't. Hung it on that rock. Okay. Swim bait down. Let me just spot lock us here. I'm gonna get in our swim bait. I'm actually gonna try this little weedless swim bait head they've been working on. Probably should have been throwing that from the beginning. Sometimes when they're really finicky, they'll even short strike it enough where when you have a little weed guard on there, they won't get it. So that's why I had the ball head on as opposed to the weed guard. But they're not biting it even with an open hook. So what's the difference then? If they're not gonna eat it with an open hook, they're not gonna eat it any worse with a closed hook, or one that has a weed guard on it. Okay. Let me put this on there. It's a bummer though that fish didn't get it. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and throw active target on. See what we're looking at. I'll get it, fish. They're down there. I'm watching them follow my bait. That's the one thing that's even frustrating about the active target is you can watch them follow it, so you know that they're down there. They just don't want to eat it for whatever reason. Just really finicky today. Okay, let me throw a little slower presentation. This is a little Neko rig. Throw that down there and see if that will entice any of them. I was lined up perfectly, so that was good. I was at least lining up on them. I have the active target on now just to kind of see what the fish are doing from a behavior perspective, just to kind of see what they're doing. That helps a lot sometimes just to improve your bait choice and stuff like that. But given the fact that I didn't catch a fish on my first 3 casts on the spot, 5 casts on the spot, I'm not super optimistic that these fish are like in aggressive mode. So I'm probably just gonna leave after this cast, especially if I don't get bit on this thing. Just because for me, it's not worth hanging out, even though there's a bunch of fish on this rock, it's not worth sitting here waiting on them when they're not aggressive. That's what I found. But I mean, they're up there. There's a bunch of fish right below the boat. I don't know what the deal is with that. Yeah, some more now. Okay. Okay, well that was a bust. Let's move, keep rolling. Again, I don't waste, if you see me doing this, guys, I'm not wasting a bunch of time. If I pull up and I don't get one that's aggressive and eats right away, I'm moving. I'm not wasting a lot of time. I don't know anything. Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm down here. Okay, let me take this. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time on these spots, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fire up the engine, and I don't know anything from here. I have a couple waypoints that I set up on brush and stuff. There weren't any fish on it the other day. So we're just gonna graph, we're just gonna keep rolling and see what we can find. This is now, we're kind of entering the uncharted territory because I didn't see any fish on any of these other spots before, so we may or may not find anything, but I have a good feeling if there's this many fish out here, we should be able to find 1 or 2 more spots, even if it takes us 15 minutes of graphing or something like that to find something. Or they might just be like right down this row. A lot of times when I find fish like this, guys, I'm gonna find them pretty closely packed together. It's not like they're gonna be spread out super far. So if I find a school of fish up here, for example, there may be a school of fish like off this point further down here, or just a little bit down the ways. So we're just gonna hope that's the case. Hopefully I know what I'm talking about. I have a pretty strong feeling there's gonna be another school of fish here, though I don't know for sure. There's a bunch of loose fish right here, guys. If you take a look at this, there's a bunch of loose random fish, just like 2 or 3, that are not grouped together and they're not unstructured. I'm not worried about those fish. They are very much just kind of like roamers and cruisers. I want to find fish that are positioned on some sort of type of cover, brush, something like that, like this right here. Holy cow, okay. This brush pile had nothing on it last week. Ooh, those don't look like bass, though. Oh no, okay. I cannot tell if those are bass or those are crappie. Okay, so if you look at those fish right there, see how many of them are stacked up on top of each other? There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a bunch of dots tall. That is a crappie top right there. That is a crappie brush pile, not bass. We're not gonna fish for those. Because those dots are stacked so tight together, the dots are so small, that is a crappie brush pile right there. That is not bass. So don't get fooled into fishing for crappie, guys. I have a whole video explaining how to identify bass on a fish finder and how to identify other species of fish. And I actually have a video coming out this Friday that's going to explain it again. It's just going to kind of be another video explaining how to identify different species of fish. But those were definitely not bass. Those were definitely crappie or some other panfish. Do you ever catch bass at school of crappie in the brush? Very rarely. Usually I do not catch a ton of fish out of the brush, or all the bass out of the brush that I catch crappie out of. It has been known to happen, especially I hear a lot of crappie guys catching giant bass, but I personally haven't really messed with it too much. Caught a bunch. Okay, whoa, okay, so there we go. There's something. Look at that right there. There's a shallow rock pile. Ooh, that is a lot shallower actually. And there's that's the dots we're looking for, guys. Let me pull up, I had not seen this before. So we're finding new fish here, guys. That's what I'm talking about, fish at the moment. Right there, see that rock pile? There's dots, but they're only stacked 3 or 4 dots tall. That is the perfect deal. We're just gonna mark it with a rock. That's the perfect deal for what I'm talking about. 3 or 4 dots tall on that rock pile. That is what we're looking for. So let's just, that was really quick. But like I said, there's usually, if there's fish on one part of the lake or one part of a drop, this is kind of like a main, if we take a look at this chart, you can see that there's a big creek channel swing that swings in right here. And there was a rock pile right there that had fish on it. So I was expecting there to be fish on the other side of this turn, one side, the other side. So I had a good feeling that we were gonna find something there. But you never know for certain. So I'm glad that we found that. So let me pull up and try to fish that. Those fish look really, really promising, just in the sense that they look bigger, and that might be gar too. They may not be bass. It's kind of hard to tell. They look pretty big. I got too excited and didn't look at them on 2D sonar. That's normally how I can identify them. a little bit easier. But I got too excited, but we'll just fish them anyways because we don't have that much time left. And we just need to get this show on the road and get a couple more fish in the boat.
They want me to try the next fresh style.
Yeah, you throw one? I don't, do you know how to throw a bait caster, baby? I don't think you know how to cast a spinning rod. Yeah, my wife is not necessarily, she's great, she is great camerawoman, not the great best fisherwoman, not yet. Maybe we can do a series teaching you how to fish. Okay, let me find this. Okay, okay, we're lined up on it. I'm just gonna use the active target just to speed things up a little bit so I'm not casting at air. Again, I could catch these fish without the active target, but we're just gonna go for it for right now, just to save us time.
Someone was asking why fish show up as arches on your 2D sonar.
Yeah, that's a great question. I get that question a lot. Basically, it comes down to how the sonar images are created. With a traditional 2D sonar, the way that it pings and everything like that, it creates an arch. I'm not 100% on the technical details of it, but it's just the way that the sonar images are created themselves. So just know that on the 2D sonar, you're looking for an arch. With the down imaging, you're looking for dots. The same thing kind of with the side imaging. You're basically just getting a clearer picture. That dot that you're seeing on 2D sonar, or sorry, on down imaging, that's basically just like the center of mass of that fish. And so you're definitely gonna be able to see that center of mass a lot easier and clearer on the down imaging, but you're also seeing that center of mass in the arch. If you ever look at an arch, the middle of the arch is going to have, oh golly. Get it, fish. He hit that thing so hard. Sorry, when you're fishing an arch, I am getting bit like crazy and they're just not committing. That's so frustrating. Come on, guys, don't be camera shy. Again, these conditions are not, they're suboptimal. He hit that thing like he train wrecked that thing. I'm throwing a little 3-inch megabass spark shad with a 5/16 ounce jewel weedless jig head. It's a little prototype I've been working on with them. It works really, really well. Now I'm just firing that thing. There's just a rock pile up here and they're on it. I can see them on the active target. They're positioned just like I saw. And I've been bit now on every single spot we've tried to fish. Oh gosh, he just hit it again. I'm out of position now. He hit it again. I'm getting bumped on every single cast almost before I catch a fish. And what's happening is that these fish, it's just, the water's so clear here, they're getting a good look at the bait and they're not really committing. The one thing I found when the fish get like that, where it's really, really tough. Whoa. Okay. I just was reeling that in. I saw the fish just went crazy over it. When they're not committing, one thing I found is you can throw a spy bait. That's a really, really good bait to actually get those fish to commit. Unfortunately, I don't have any spy baits in the boat with me. That would probably be the one thing I would do. You could also potentially throw a jig down there, like a little shaky head or something like that. Potentially, it's just these fish are suspended. So normally that little 3-inch swim bait is the deal to get them to bite. And they're biting it, they're nipping at it. But whenever they're getting like this, a lot of times what happens, guys, is that you just need the weather to change a little bit. So for example, if we got a tiny bit of wind, these fish would be all choking it. Like I'd probably catch 2 or 3 fish per spot if we had that little bit of wind. And a lot of times when I'm fishing and doing my videos and stuff, I will be offshore fishing for a long time, pretty much all day. And then I'll finally get a little window where they'll start biting, and I'll be around them and you'll see them on the graph. You'll be graphing for them. And a lot of guys get frustrated because they see the fish on the graph. They feel like they should be catching them, but they're just in an inactive mode. Like all these fish right here are just inactive. But we found we found 4 different spots with groups of fish on them here in like an hour. And we've had 1 fish that jumped off at the boat and 1 other fish. So really we've only had 2 fish out of 4 spots, which is not that good, honestly. We've had bites on all of them, but again, I'm gonna move on because those fish just, they're bumping it. If I get on the right school that's big enough, I should be able to just have them bite, boom, 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 boom. And that's what I'm looking for too, guys. I want an active group of fish. If I was out here for 8 hours, I might hit the same rock pile 3 times. That's one thing that don't show a lot in my videos is if I find a spot like this, it's not like I'm just gonna fish it once and then leave it. I probably would fish each of these spots where I found fish 2 or 3 times throughout the day, because at one point in the day, that group of fish is gonna get super aggressive and you might be able to catch 3 or 4 of those fish, boom, boom, boom. And again, it might just be the wind, it might be the sun going down, it was an early morning thing. That's just how it goes a lot of times offshore here. It's not always something that you can control in terms of those bite windows. Now, I might be able to really sit down and just like work them with like a little Ned rig or something, but that's not my style. I'm not a big Ned rig guy. I would rather hit the timing because the size of the fish you're gonna catch doing that is not going to justify the time you spend doing it. In my opinion, what I would much prefer to do is, I'm just gonna kind of graph this inside turn here. One thing I would much prefer to do, and there's that rock pile, actually, that looks really pretty. You can see that rock pile on side scan right there. That is beautiful. Let me pull up side scan. You can see it right there. That is beautiful rock pile right there. But basically, I'm not that worried about trying to catch all the fish I can off one spot. I want to catch the aggressive fish, the easy fish. If I don't get bit within a few casts, I'm gone, and I'll come back and fish those fish later. It's not like I'm not going to fish that spot a lot, but what I would prefer to do personally is I would rather spend 30 minutes fishing a spot, and I spread out over the course of a day. So I'll spend 10 minutes on it 3 different times, rather than sitting on one spot for 30 minutes straight. That's just because I can potentially hit a better bite window if I fish it 3 different times. Maybe 2 times I fish it, the bite window is bad. The 3rd time I fish it, the bite window is really good and I catch them. So you have to dial in those bite windows, dial in that timing, because it really is, it's tricky to hit that bite window perfectly. You have to almost kind of get lucky. I won't say lucky, but you kind of have to just run into the right timing on it. And to do that, you can't just get stuck on one spot over and over and over and over again. You have to, here's a good point coming up here. I think I marked something on the other day. I don't know what it is, I don't remember. I marked something, so I'm just idling to a waypoint I made a long time ago. Basically, I want to hit those, I want to fish for those, oh, what's that? That is, okay, that's interesting. Kind of missed it. I'll come back around and regraph that. I want to be able to fish the same spot 2, 3, 4 times throughout the day. So I'm only gonna spend 10 minutes on the spot and then come back and refish it. 10 minutes and then come back and refish it. And at the same time, I'm also gonna start looking for new spots, areas that may have more fish, better fish, and potentially an area where I can find a good school of fish. There's a bunch of rock down there. I need to, doesn't look like there's anything right here, but I missed that one rock pile. I just want to get over, I want to get a good angle on it. There's like I have a brush icon on it. And a lot of times, guys, if you hit these offshore areas, you might miss the spot by just a little bit. So you want to make sure if something looks good, like there's a good rock pile or there's a good something, regraph it a couple times, because a lot of times if you just graph it once, you're gonna miss the interesting stuff down there. I'll regraph stuff 2, 3 times if it looks interesting or looks unique. Like there's a big rock pile right there. No fish though. See what this is. Okay, I'm just looking at these things to see what I see here. I'm not seeing anything crazy. Okay, so there's not really any bait fish, nothing over here. So what I want to do, actually, I think this will be kind of interesting. I want to answer a few questions from you guys just while I'm graphing, but I'm actually going to idle back over to those first 2 spots that we found, and I'm going to see, we've given them about 45 minutes to rest. I'm going to pull back up on top of them and see if I can get another couple fish to bite, just to show you that you can refish these spots a few different times and still get them to bite. You don't just have to fish them one time and be done. Those fish are still there. You only caught one of maybe 15 fish. So if you can pull up on top of it again and they're regrouped up, you can normally catch another fish. So we'll try that here. And while I'm graphing, let me just, I'll pull up this phone and just take a look. Some questions that are coming through. Okay, get to the bottom here. Anyone know the water temperature, air temperature? Air temperature is like 77 degrees. Water temperature is 77 degrees also. So 77 degree air temperature and water temperature both. Let's see here. Right now on Beaver, would you say better quality fish are going to be offshore? Would you spend a couple of days out there this weekend and everything shallow is small? Right now, the big fish are in 2 places. I can guarantee you they're in 2 places. Up the river under boat docks is a great place to catch some big ones right now. The other place is they're in deep standing timber, and I wish I could do a deep standing timber show with you guys, and that's something we might be able to try to do, but that is so hard to be consistent in finding them in just an hour. These rock pile fish are a lot easier to find. There are some big fish in standing timber out here, big largemouth, and that's what I would be doing if I was coming out here and like trying to fish for a catch 15 series, trying to catch 15 pounds right now. I would be looking for isolated big trees that have schools of fish in them, and I'd probably be flipping them with a 1-ounce football jig and throwing a jerkbait over the top of them. That's how I would be going after the big ones right now. These rock pile fish, you might be able to catch a couple keepers doing it, but like, this is not how I would be fishing. Again, if I was doing like my catch 15 challenge, where I'm trying to catch 15 pounds for 5 fish in a day, I would not be fishing these spots. This is a great live stream deal because it's like little small spotted bass and stuff, and I can catch them easily, but or at least show them on the screen easily. I'm not catching them that easily, but I'm showing them on the screen. But yeah, I'd be fishing deep timber if I was out here for real fishing. Okay, those fish are back up on that rock pile. I'm just gonna ignore that rock pile because I just fished it a few minutes ago. But that rock pile, if you look at them, they're back up on top of it. If you pull that camera up here, you can see them. They're all over the top of that thing. I had that one fish bump my bait and then follow it. They're repositioned. I probably could pull up and maybe catch a few, but I just fished or catch one, but I just fished just like very recently. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm actually gonna go back to these areas over here. I'm not gonna graph them because I know those fish are there, and instead I'm actually just gonna pull up and just cast on them. I'm gonna see if maybe by not graphing over them, I maybe can get a few more bites, just because when they're this finicky and they're this tough to bite, maybe by not graphing over them, I can get one to commit, one more fish maybe. And I also want to show you that, again, you can regraph or refish these same spots. So we'll do that. Do you ever keep them in the live well to prevent the fish from going back and telling their buddies that they got snatched? Yes, Jess, I do that all the time. I prefer to do that, obviously, if I can. I don't do it as much anymore just because in videos people don't like me putting them in the live well because it's just, there's no real reason to, and it's not helping the fish at all. But if I was in a tournament situation, it's so much better to put those fish in the live well, as long as they're keepers. I'm not going to put short fish in there, obviously, but yeah, if you can keep them from going back down there and tattletaling, you're a lot better. And also, a lot of times when you lose a fish on the spot, it shuts those fish down so much because they got hooked. They feel like, oh, something happened, and if you hook one and it comes off like right afterwards, normally it's not that big of a deal. But if you reel them like halfway to the boat and then they come off, that will shut that whole school of fish down. And that's what happened on that first, I literally lost one of my first cast, and I think that fish went straight back down, told all of his buddies, hey, there's something weird going on here, let's not mess with it. And I lost that school. Thought I saw Randy in the background fishing the shallow water. Yeah, Randy's actually right over there throwing a whopper plopper down the bank. Getting skunked. No, I'm just messing with you. What speed do you idle at while you're graphing, Phil? I graph at 3.5 to 4 miles an hour. Right now I'm graphing 3.5, but I try to keep it between 3.5 and 4 miles an hour. If you go any more than that, you're kind of, your image is going to get a little bit cloudy. It may not be as clean. And if you go any slower than that, then you're literally just covering less water. If you graph at 2 miles an hour versus 4, you're covering 2 fewer miles every hour, because 2 miles an hour versus 4 miles an hour, 2 more hours, 2 more miles per hour. So I always graph at 3.5 to 4 to cover as much water as I can. Okay, there's a bunch of questions, but I want to fish, so we're just gonna get after it. So let's throw trolling motor down, and in this situation, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up with them with the chart and with the live scope. Again, you don't need the live scope or the active target to make this work by any means. You can do it normally, and let me, I'll take that from you. That way you can get the tripod up. There we go. Okay, so again, what I'm doing here, guys, and just to show you on my Lowrance unit here, and it's the same kind of deal with the Humminbird, is basically you can see here are my waypoints that I'm going to. So the waypoints are right there and right there. Those are the 2 waypoints. I have my range ring set, so you can actually see my boat icon, and you can see those rings around them. The range ring right now is set to 100 feet just because that's how the zoom on the map is. So what I'm trying to do is I'll zoom this in so that I can kind of get that range ring to be 100 feet, and you can see it right there, the ring 100 feet. I'm then going to basically get my waypoint within 100 feet. So like you can see right now, that foundation right there is just within that ring. That's where I want my spots to be, just inside that ring at like 80 feet, 85 feet. So that is the deal. Let me pass this back over. And so I'm doing that, and I'm just basically then, I actually had the bass tank throw on a 0.1 transducer. What that is it's basically just a transducer that make sure it knows where my nose of my boat is pointing at all times. Super helpful. They have one for Humminbird, they have it for Lowrance, I think they have it for Garmin too, but a 0.1 transducer, or like a heading sensor is what they're called. Heading sensors, oh my gosh, they're busting right there. Heading sensors are really, really cool because they basically help you know where your nose of your boat is pointing at all times. They're schooling right here. Right over the top of that spot. They did not like my my swim bait apparently though. Okay, I need to get a couple things prepared, because if they're gonna start schooling, one, I need, oh my gosh, they're freaking schooling, okay. I need my jigging spoon out, but it's on the other side. I'm just gonna fire this jerk bait up there. They're schooling. These fish, they're probably pulling, because the daytime it's getting darker, not as bright out. So I think a lot of these fish are probably gonna be roaming a tiny bit more, just because with the sun out, they were tight to cover. They may be starting to roam a little bit, and they're schooling and busting around here, but let's see if there's still some fish on that tree too. How far are we from that thing? Oh, it should be right on it. Okay. I'm gonna do this, and I'm also gonna get my drop shot ready, and I'm also gonna get, I have too many things. I have a little CC spoon, a little 1/2 ounce CC spoon. If I see them schooling, I'm just gonna toss that CC spoon at them. I have my rods spread out like crazy here, so hopefully I don't hurt anybody. Oh, they're all over that thing too. Okay, this is gonna be, should be first cast on this spot right here. Calling it. Oh gosh, this should be it. Come on now. Oh my gosh, they're busting, they're schooling. How are you not eating my bait fish? Oh, come on. There he is. Called it. That's what I'm talking about. Called the shot. Not a big one, but I called my shot. That's all that matters right now. I was like, how did I not? That's a good spotted bass, actually. Came back to that same tree. That's a keeper right there. That's actually a nice one. I would take 5 of those on beaver right now. Put 5 of those in the boat, skip up a boat dock maybe, or a deep tree, and he'd be in business. There we go. That's a beautiful little spotted bass. Look at that glow in the sunlight. That is just majestic right there. That is just absolutely gorgeous. So got that fish on little mega bass spark shad, 3-inch spark shad, and it was just on a little jewel gem shad head. Beautiful fish. Love that little spotted bass, nice keeper. Probably a little 1 3/4 fish. Nothing crazy, but hey, we're getting a few fish. Again, I fished this. This is actually the spot where I lost a fish in my first cast today, and came back to it 2 hours later, caught another fish. So that's what I'm talking about. You can come back, refish these areas, and catch them. So the swim bait is so torn up from that one fish. I also got right up on top of those fish, unfortunately, a little bit. I think I pulled them away from it, unfortunately. The boat drifted. I should have hit spot lock. But man, there was so much bait fish activity that was kicking up on top of that. And then they started rising up to the surface. So I started reeling my swim bait a little bit faster, and they went after it. Oh, there's a bunch of fish right below the boat. 1 second, I'm gonna drop a drop shot down there. I might be able to get one. Oh yeah, here we go. Eat it. Eat it. I know you want it. Gosh, they're hitting it. They're just not eating it. What the heck? Come on. Come on. Right there. He's on it. Eat it. Why? Why are you not eating it? What are you doing, fish? It's like when I catch one, they all just like get really spooky. I think it's because, oh, God, he hit it. I'm watching them. They're on the bottom down there. Oh, they're back on that brush too. Sorry I'm not talking too much, guys. I'm just excited. Just focused on fishing. Oh gosh, they're up there too. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Here we go. Eat a fish. They're up there. Okay, what's a question for me while I'm doing this? That way I can at least be productive while I'm trying to catch these fish. Or are you guys just too busy watching me fish? Because I'm too busy fishing to worry about it right now. All I care about right now is getting another one of those spots to bite. They dropped down, which is weird. They were so high up in the water column. I'm using a 6-pound fluorocarbon leader on a 10-pound braided line main line. And I'm just, oh my God. Just using a 7'2" medium light action spinning rod. And I'm just using a 7'2" just so I can get good casting distance for these fish. Come on now. They're chasing shad like crazy out here. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, but yeah, just using the 7'2" so I can really get a good cast on these fish, or get a good cast out there. Okay, yeah, they're schooling, it's happening, and they're not eating my bait. Except, well, I caught one. It's not completely true, but oh my gosh, why? Why are you not biting? They're back up, those fish. Eat my bait. They're back up really high. Throw the jerkbait across there. Oh, they followed my, dang it, they followed my swim bait back. Where's my drop shot? I'm switching baits like a madman right now. They followed my swim bait back. When I reeled it up really fast, and they're all now all underneath the boat. Stupid fish. Come on, eat the drop shot. You're all right there looking at it. What are you doing? Normally they eat the drop shot when I do this because I'm deep enough. Normally they'll eat the thing. It's very weird. I've not normally, like, I can almost guarantee a couple follow-up fish on a drop shot. It's very weird that's not happening. Okay, I think we might be at the point of no return with this school of fish. For whatever reason, I can just get one bite. That's so weird. Per spot, one bite, and then they don't want anything to do with me. There he is. Oh, well, that's what's looking at my bait. No wonder they're not eating it. Still haven't got my active target settings set up quite right, because they look a lot bigger on the screen than that right there. With my live scope, I was pretty good at getting it dialed in when I was looking at little ones and big ones, but this is my second trip with the active target, so apparently I need a little bit more fine tuning. No wonder. No wonder I'm not getting bit. They're all like 12 inches long, or like 6 inches long. Okay, let's leave these fish alone. Let's go hit that rock pile up and see if they're on that rock pile again. Okay, we're gonna try to catch fish on this rock pile, and then that is gonna be the last stop. I think that's what we got time for. But hopefully you guys have been what's up? 3 minutes. Okay, well we'll go a little bit over. We can do a little bit more just for you guys, and also I just want to fish a little bit more. My wife's like, let's get back home, but no, gotta catch one more fish for the boys. Okay, so let me get lined up on this. Let me know what you guys think of these on the bar live streams. I'm a lot less nervous whenever I catch a fish, but in the beginning I get like freaking so jacked up that it's hard to not be like a spaz. So I apologize for the beginning if that's how that was. Tried to get as much information to you guys as I could too, and some helpful information that you can apply on the lake. So let me know if you guys have found this helpful, found this interesting, and I'll continue to do more of these if that's something you guys want, because there's a lot of lakes around here, and there's a lot of different techniques that I can show you live. Not every technique is going to be viable in a live stream format. For example, like going and fishing deep timber and stuff like that. It's a good strategy, it's a good technique. I just don't know if I can do it in a live stream, just because it takes so long to find those fish. I would need like a 4-hour live stream if I was doing a timber show. But there are definitely techniques out there that I can do. So just kind of let me know if you like this live stream format. And again, to be entered into a giveaway for a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky, leave a comment down below letting me know what techniques you guys want me to do in another one of these live streams, and I will definitely take that into account, and whoever gets chosen, whoever has the best idea, will win a free case of Bridgeford beef jerky next week on the live stream. So make sure to tune in. And then also Travis Cyber, definitely, oh, they're all over my bait. Come on, come on. Definitely send us an email over info@fishingmoment.com. You were the winner of this week's Bridgeford giveaway. Travis Cyber, so definitely do that as well. Oh my gosh. How did you not eat that fish? How did you resist? Sorry guys, they're all up there, and I didn't get bit. I want to catch one of these fish because they're just, man, they're so all over this. I wish these fish were a little bit bigger, but beggars can't be choosers. We're fishing live, so I'm doing the best I can to just catch fish, period. We will focus on size in future live streams. Maybe we can go over to one of those like power plant lakes and I can go catch a bunch of 5 and 6 pounders. But for me, that's not as fun either, just because I like to have a little bit of challenge and a little bit of realism to what we're doing. Oh my God. How'd you hit that thing that hard and not eat it? That had to have hit the back of your throat. I don't know how that fish missed that. He hit that so hard. Any more questions for me while I try to struggle to catch these 12-inch fish?
Everyone's saying that they love the underwater.
Okay, cool. We can make that happen. Yeah, I think it's fun to kind of see what I'm doing live. I mean, obviously my style of fishing is different from a lot of people's. I do a lot more driving around, and today we got kind of lucky because we found a bunch of fish, and I fortunately had this area of the lake found. So one thing I want to make clear is that I did scout this area like 2 weeks ago. This wasn't like a completely blind trip. The last live stream I did was completely blind, but it was a very small lake. But today it was just more of, I wanted to show you guys a little bit on the screen what these fish look like and stuff like that. The goal necessarily wasn't to like try to find fish completely from scratch. That is tricky enough as it is. Oh, there's a fish following my bait. Come on, fish, eat it. Nope. Okay.
Why did you choose plain swim bait over an underspin?
Great question. So right now there's not a lot of bait fish out here. If there were more bait fish in the area, I would 100% be throwing, I'm gonna throw a jig up there just to see. I would 100% be throwing an underspin, but because there's very little bait and the fish are just kind of positioned, there is some bait, but it's not like a ridiculous quantity. The more bait fish there are, the more likely I am to go to an underspin because it differentiates your bait from the shad, the real bait fish. When I'm looking at a spot like this, when there's no wind, bluebird sky, stuff like that, just a regular single swim bait, just a plain swim bait is always going to be more effective, I found. If you get a lot of wind and stuff too, maybe that underspin will maybe make that bait stand out a little bit if it's like really cloudy, really windy. But really, unless you're dealing with kind of like pre-front wind and cloud conditions, or you have a lot of bait fish in the area, I go with a single swim bait. And a lot of times you are dealing with situations where you have a lot of bait fish in the area, and so that does play a part. But right now it's not the case, and they're up there. I'm watching the bait fish kick around. I don't think that these fish, I was about to say, I don't think these fish will bite a jig, but they will. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong all day. Need to throw a jig. Oh, he spit it, crap. That was another good spotted bass. That was another 1.5 pounds, same size as the last one I just caught. That felt pretty good too. Okay, maybe I need to throw a football jig. Maybe that was the deal. Maybe that's why I'm not, I was trying to catch all these suspended fish. Maybe I've been pigeonholing myself a little bit too much. When I'm doing the catch 15s, I'm normally a little bit more methodical. I don't just throw the swim bait. I was trying to do it just for you guys for the show. Maybe I should have been throwing the jig. Oh my gosh. Okay, I definitely should have been throwing the jig more. This is just a Fish Moment offshore jig, 5/8 ounce. You guys know the deal by now. If I'm ever offshore and the fish are, I feel like might bite on the bottom, 5/8 ounce football jig, definitely the way to go, especially on spots like this, guys, where you have these spotted bass. I designed this Fish Moment offshore jig with a little bit lighter wire hook than a lot of other football jigs on the market because I wanted it to be able to connect. That was not a good example. These fish are not biting super well today, so I'm going to give that jig a little bit of a pass. But I have a light wire hook in this bait, so you can actually fish it for spotted bass and smallmouth as well. It's not just a jig for largemouth. A lot of football jigs have a really, really stout hook. This has a little bit lighter wire hook. It doesn't bend out even if you're throwing heavy line for largemouth, but it hooks the smallmouth and spy bass with their small mouths a little bit better. And I probably need to put that guard down a little bit. That was why I missed that fish. I have it set up in the brush position. If you bend that double cable guard down a little bit when you're fishing rocks, you'll get a better hookup. And it's just a little 5/8 ounce football jig. It has a unique design in the head and has a unique bait keeper that redistributes the weight a little bit and gives it a unique fall. You can check them out. I designed them for Jewel Bait Company. You can check them out at jewelbait.com. It's the Fish Moment offshore jig. And Kylie, how's it going? Keep up fishing. I love to see anyone going out fishing, especially the young ladies. One thing I always think is interesting is that I feel like there's never been like a young woman who's gone in and dominated on the fishing tour, and there's literally no reason in my mind why you couldn't have someone of male, female, doesn't matter, who could dominate on the professional level, just because, I mean, I'm not very strong. I'm not very weak. My wife is stronger than I am. We do CrossFit together, and she kicks my butt in the gym every single day. So I am not a strong person, so it's no physical advantage here. For me, it's all, I feel like, just mental and then just a passion for it. So definitely keep it up if you enjoy. You could have a good career in fishing, or if you just like enjoy it, there's no reason why you can't be 10 times better than your dad one day. That's all I'll say. Okay, well, that was a little bit disappointing. I lost the fish, guys. I wanted to get one more for you guys. That is several fish losses today, lots of short strikes. Kind of one of those days, just with the conditions, is a little bit tricky. I probably should have picked up the jig a little bit sooner. Maybe could have had a little bit more success. Probably would have even better success if I would just not be stubborn and pick up a little shaky head or a little Ned rig. Probably catch some fish doing that too. Not really my deal. I like to fish for quality all the time, but that football jig definitely would be getting some good bites if I had been throwing it. So been a fun stream, been a fun live stream. I want to keep fishing because I want to get another one of those jig bites. Whenever I get bit on a football jig, I'm like, oh man, I need to keep throwing it because I love a football jig bite. That is my favorite way to catch them in the whole world. And just that thump, and then you set on them and they're out there, deep out there in the lake. Oh, I love that. But I gotta sign off here at some point. So we'll call it a night, guys. And again, if you want to sign up for our Bridgeford Beef Jerky giveaway, we're going to be giving away a free case of Bridgeford Beef Jerky. We do it every week on the live stream. And just leave a comment down below letting me know what you would like me to do in upcoming On The Water live streams, techniques, strategies, things like that, and that'll be great. And other than that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this On The Water live. A huge shout out to the Bass Tank for setting me up with all these great electronics that I used in the live stream today. And definitely check out the Bass Tank in Tulsa, Oklahoma if you want to get your electronics installed properly and make sure that they work. A lot of guys get them installed improperly, and it really can mess you up and cause a lot of issues when you're on the lake. So check them out at thebasstank.com. Now, other than that, guys, we're going to be seeing you hopefully in a couple of weeks here again on the water for another live stream. And I'll also be doing a live stream next week with Randy when he gets back from the Bassmaster Open on Smith Lake, breaking down the actual costs of being a tournament bass fisherman. We're going to go through the P&L, profit and loss, all that stuff, all the different expenses for tournament bass fishermen. So definitely join us next week for the Fish Moment live stream to check that out. So anyways, guys, thanks again for checking out this live stream. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you all next one.